Hey everyone, welcome to week 10. Finally, the end of term 1, we get there. This week's MJR theme is to be thankful, to have thanks in our life and to give thanks in our life. And it connects to the Lazarus story of being thankful, having Jesus sacrifice himself on the cross for the good of us. And we're thankful for that. But we're thankful for so many other things in our lives. So incredibly, we're thankful for so many other things in our life. You think of the things that you don't say thanks for enough. I suppose the challenge this week is to overuse the word thanks. Guys, get into the habit of saying thanks, even the small things. That last part of West, what we started with at the start of the term, West. T, thanks. Overuse it. Use it so people appreciate what they've done for you. So you appreciate what people have done for you. Now you're wondering why I'm sitting here at the front of primary office building at Fermoy House. I got Statue of Marcelin sitting here behind me as well. Well, this week marks the actual date. You know, we're celebrating with our badges on our shirts. Some of us still have those badges, those 150-year badges. Special word, sesquicentenary or something like that, 150 years. We're celebrating 150 years since the first Marist brothers got to Australia to teach kids. He had a dream, Marcelin. This bloke had a dream, not just to educate kids in post-revolutionary France and, allow them to become fulfilled members of society with faith driving that. But he also wanted his brothers to go out into the world and bring Catholic education to all corners of the world. And one of the first trips that he sent his brothers on was to Oceania and areas around Australia. And in 1872, 4 Marist brothers arrived in Sydney Cove, over in New South Wales. They arrived in Sydney Cove to teach at the very, very first Marist school in Sydney. And they got there, and you'll see these pictures coming up on the screen here. And that picture there actually is the one that you'll see up the front of your classrooms. Sydney back in the day, about 1880. And you'll notice right in the middle of the picture is the very first school. It was the hall, the parish hall of the church across the street. And they just taught out of that. And you're going to imagine Sydney back in the 1880s, Catholic school kids, they're like their first or second generation descendants of convicts, of the Irish convicts. So they're rough kids. They're growing up around the docks area. Their parents are probably working on the docks. They are rough and ready kids. You think of the rough kids you got in your classrooms, guys. These Irish Catholic kids, they would have been hard for the teachers to manage. And then you put Frenchmen in front of them to teach. Frenchmen, practicing the ideas of Marcelin, and they've got to somehow manage these unruly kids, open a brand new school and teach these kids. And we now, in 2022, we're going to be thankful. We're going to be thankful for that history, that richness of the history that we are a part of. You're all a part of that history, guys. So on the 8th of April, so this Friday, 8th of April, 1872, these 4 Marist brothers, they rock up Sydney Cove and they start teaching these really tough kids. And from there, a story has grown over these 150 years. There are like 55 Marist schools across the country. And you see that picture there of the map of Australia with all the different schools, 55 of them across there. And this next picture, this picture here is one of the first earliest pictures of the school itself in 1872. Probably not from that date, but one of the earliest pictures of the school itself with some of the kids coming and going. So we've got a rich history. We're going to be thankful for it. I know just the other day, we're talking to my nan about foods, different foods in society. He's a little bit detached, but you'll see where I'm going with it. And she talked about how when she was growing up, there was no garlic and there was no pasta and there was no pizza. They didn't know what these things were until after World War II, when European migrants started coming out. And we can be thankful for that part of history where we get to have those foods. Well, it's the same with your education, guys. It's the same with your education. Just not so many years ago, being a student was a lot harder than what being a student is now. Being a teacher was a lot harder than what being a teacher is now. And being a part of education was a lot harder than what it is now. Some things, of course, are much easier. Some things, however, are harder. But we have our long, rich history to thank for that. And eventually, in 1948, his dream led to some Marist brothers coming out here to Northam to buy this building, turn it into a school, and work with the Sisters of St. Joseph the Apparition to continue education. It's your story, it's my story, it's his story, his story, it's our story. Enjoy this week, guys. We celebrate 150 years of Marist education, particularly on Friday, 8th of April. Take care, have a great holiday.